And next steps reference the threatened ban by FIFA. And the second is, again, the government's position and next steps on the inherited challenges in the financial services sector that need to be cleaned up. So let's start with football, since we're a football-loving nation. It will be recalled that in a letter dated 13th of August 2018, the Federation of International Football Associations, or FIFA, notified the government of Ghana that it disagrees with the second phase of GOG's efforts to resolve the recent challenges with football administration in Ghana. The Bureau of the Council of FIFA, after considering Ghana's preferred route to curing the problem of widespread corruption, considers that the petition before the courts currently, which is to liquidate the GFA, will be an act which in their opinion amounts to undue influence in the affairs of the GFA, and that will be contrary to Articles 14 and 19 of their statutes. Upon receiving this communication, the government of Ghana and FIFA have continued to engage. You'll recall that we started engagements with them right from the onset. We have continued to engage even at the highest levels. And the two parties, that's the government of Ghana and FIFA, have agreed to meet on Thursday, August 16, 2018, at the FIFA headquarters to discuss a number of issues. The focus of that discussion is to explore means by which the two parties, that's the government of Ghana and FIFA, can finalize arrangements on a mutually acceptable route for this final phase of resolving the observed infractions in football administration in Ghana. So a quick background. You'll recall that in a documentary that was aired on the 7th of June 2018, titled Number 12, When Greed and Corruption Become the Norm, some officials of the FA and administrators of football were caught on camera in an expose of widespread corruption, bribery, match fixing, and other forms of illegality. The GOG and FIFA were jointly of the view that the above listed infractions should be dealt with. On GOG's part, the first phase was securing a court injunction to set aside the executive of the FA. On FIFA's part, they also, among other things, temporarily banned the FA president. Then the two parties came together after we started engagement and set up a liaison committee which was to take over the management of some aspects of Ghana football, or the administration of Ghana football, pending a final and permanent resolution of the matter. Now, the government of Ghana, in its commitment to solve the problem permanently, believes that the FA as constituted currently is not fit for purpose because of the actions of the leadership and some members, and has consequently applied to the courts to liquidate the FA altogether. The expectation is that a new body will be constituted after the liquidation to administer football moving forward. FIFA also agrees that a substantive solution must be found, but does not believe that it should be by liquidation of the GFA altogether. Indeed, both parties have taken the first joint step, as I mentioned, in setting up the liaison team led by Dr. Kofi Amoah to carry out some aspects of football administration. FIFA, in the earlier meetings with us, reaffirmed their commitment to zero tolerance for corruption in football, and they also expressed their commitment that they have no problem with Ghana enforcing our domestic laws generally. Now, what the two parties are currently not agreed on is the final route to take in solving the problem permanently. Whether we should go by liquidation or we should go by another route which achieves the same objective but does not end up in the position considered by FIFA as a breach of their statutes. For the avoidance of doubt, the government of Ghana does not share that position that FIFA puts out, but we are continuing to engage with them because we believe that we can still find a common ground to achieve the same objective. That is what this latest round of meetings that are slated for Thursday is supposed to conclude on. The government of Ghana assures the Ghanaian public and all stakeholders in football that it remains resolute in its efforts to clean up the unethical and criminal acts reported in Ghana football, and will not renege on all legal routes to achieve this objective. So reference to the letter that you have seen from FIFA and the response that you have seen, I think, circulated earlier this morning. This is the position of the government of Ghana. I'll take questions on it shortly, but I want to deal with the second matter and then I'll take questions on this. The second matter is where we are now on the resolution of the challenges inherited in the financial services sector. Again, the government of, and they also expressed their commitment that they have no problem with Ghana enforcing our domestic laws generally. Now, what the two parties are currently not agreed on is the final route to take in solving the problem permanently. Whether we should go by liquidation or we should go by another route which achieves the same objective but does not end up in a position considered by FIFA as a breach of their statutes. For the avoidance of doubt, the government of Ghana does not share that position that FIFA puts out, but we are continuing to engage with them because we believe that we can still find a common ground to achieve the same objective. That is what this latest round of meetings that are slated for Thursday is supposed to conclude on. The government of Ghana assures the Ghanaian public and all stakeholders in football that it remains resolute in its efforts to clean up the unethical and criminal acts reported in Ghana football and will not renege on all legal routes to achieve this objective. So reference to the letter that you have seen from FIFA and the response that you have seen, I think, circulated earlier this morning. This is the position of the government of Ghana. I'll take questions.
What is the constitution of the delegation going to FIFA tomorrow, and how different is it from the first one? Secondly, has government formulated, if they have, and did they present to FIFA the first time, a roadmap of what our football will look like when the dust eventually settles? And finally, what can you tell us with regards to the investigation of Kwesi Nyantakyi and a couple of the GFA top officials who were supposedly being investigated by the CIA?
Benjamin, thank you. The Minister for Sports, the Deputy Attorney General, and a Deputy Chief of Staff will be leading that delegation to FIFA headquarters. The delegation need not be different from the initial delegation that has been doing these engagements because there's already a series of discussions and some things that have been agreed on. So that delegation need not be different. Indeed, if you go back to some of the earlier points that were made when the delegation started its work, it was mentioned that the initial conversation on a roadmap to the resolution ought to be discussed with the Bureau of the Council of FIFA. So the measures that were put in were temporary measures, the liaison committee, etc. It is the Bureau that, now having considered this, has come out that they don't agree with a particular step in the second phase. And that is why they're having to engage to tidy that one up. And then we can all have clarity on this way forward. Of course, reforming Ghana football is something that FIFA will have an interest in, but the people of Ghana also have an interest in, and therefore it's important for both parties to collaborate and ensure that it happens. I do not have a brief currently on the status of the investigations that are going on with Mr. Nyantakyi, etc. I will fetch that for you, hopefully, for our next briefing. I'm not sure we'll finish this matter exactly today, but I'll fetch that for you for our next briefing. These briefings are going to be regular on various topics, so I'll fetch that for you for our next briefing. Thank you.
You didn't address the roadmap issue. If there was a roadmap presented on what the football will look like when it's done.
I did. And my point is that in that conversation with FIFA, the roadmap, as was being discussed, needed to be referred to the Bureau of the Council. It is that has been fed back to us that a particular step in it is one they are not comfortable with. And that is why there's a need to re-engage so that we can have that clarity moving forward. TK? Yes, TK. Let me hear from TK and then I'll come to you.
Just to follow up on what he said, if you read the FIFA letter, at the latter part, they said up to date, they don't know the steps the government have taken regarding the investigation. It means that they've not been giving any feedback as to what work has been done so far.
They've been given feedback on where we are in terms of, there's a liaison committee. You'll notice that they even wrote the letter to the liaison committee. The liaison committee feeds back to them on where we are, reference to the aspects of Ghana football that we are moving on. The investigations that are being conducted by the state security apparatus, if they are looking for specifics on it, will be cleared when this meeting takes place. But we are in engagement with FIFA. They know where we agreed to pursue this too, i.e. going through this particular route. And now their bureau tells us that that particular route is one that they are not comfortable with. And therefore, it's important to engage with them and see how we can clear it up forward. But the important thing is that we are committed as a government to doing it. We will follow all legal processes to ensure that it is done. We acknowledge that FIFA are stakeholders, and we'll engage with them and not renege on the commitment at the end of the day. In principle, we don't think that FIFA disagrees with us on the big picture. It is the route that they want us to align on, and we'll be more than willing to engage with them to see if we can achieve common ground on that one. TK.
Honorable Minister, the concerns here, and just yesterday I was hosting some guests in my institution, relates to executive committee members of the about to be liquidated GFE. Some of them have reported concerns in traveling outside the country. Have any of the executive committee members been banned from leaving this country?
I'm not aware of that.
You are not aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that. Thank you. Next question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just another one. There's been this question about Ghana being a sovereign country and
Yes.
not kowtow to the rules of FIFA.
Yes.
If FIFA insists that what they want must be done, with government, with what the court is.
Ghana is a sovereign country that has its laws. We have explained that to FIFA right from our very initial meetings, and FIFA themselves expressed that they don't have a problem with Ghana enforcing its municipal laws. Now, what they have, and if you read through the fine print of their document, what they have said is that the route for the second phase, which is the liquidation route, is what they will interpret as an interference. They have not said that they are not interested in solving the problem once and for all. So both of us have the same objective. It is important that as we have engaged with them so far, even to set up a liaison committee and to get to this point, we further engage with them on how to arrive at that solution without necessarily encountering an infringement of Article 14 or Article 19. But that ought not to be interpreted in any way that Ghana will be willing to throw away its sovereignty through the window just because FIFA has threatened. No. We believe that the two of us can come to a common goal. FIFA's objective and our objective appears to be the same. And we believe that by re-engaging, we can come to that common point. But our sovereignty, our clarity to deal with the matters that we have witnessed are things that we will not compromise on. Any other questions? And then we'll wrap up. I know you have many other assignments to attend to.
Yes, I'll ask my last question. I mean, sometime last month, the local banks presented